story of a wealthy family who lost...
Hello and welcome to Peak Streaks, the podcast where we answer the question, what is the greatest 3-episode run of some of the greatest shows in TV history?
That's right, Dan. Do not reset your podcast app of choice. Last time we were talking to you, we were definitely called Rewatching The Watchmen.
Yes, and before that we were Lost Within Lost. So how long will we stick with this name, Chris?
I think we'll stick with this one for quite a while because I love this idea. If you remember, when we finished reviewing or counting down the 10 best episodes of Lost, we were so hungry for more Damon Lindelof that we decided let's dive into his Watchmen TV series. And, you know, we had some fun. We went all the way back to 1987. We talked about Alan Moore being a magician and all those good times. But then when we went to cover and review the Watchmen series itself, it sort of dawned on us that hang on, we can't do another 10 episodes on a 10 episode series. We had to find the peak. It was probably best to find the peak of that series. And so I challenged you, Dan, to find a way to determine the true peak of a TV series.
Yes. Yep. And I sorted it out. I got together all my statistical wizardry and got a whole heap of data sources, and yeah, we worked out a way to do it.
That's right. And I picture it like, you know, when you go to a cafe or a really nice market and they've got those self-serve orange juice machines that have got and you feed in the oranges and then they run down the ramp and they go around and they get squished out. So I'm picturing IMDb ratings and Rotten Tomatoes and AV Club and TripAdvisor and Jeeves and everything is in there.
Yeah,
And
I shove in a DVD into the top and it just gets scrunched up and bent around by all these different sites. Yep.
Yes, and then we end up with I guess what you'd call the peak of a series.
Yeah, the 3-episode peak. So we could have done it on any length of time, but I think we decided that 3 episodes is a good little run for a peak of a series, right?
Yeah, the best 3-episode run back to back to back. And after doing it for Watchmen, we thought, what else could we do it for? And we landed on Breaking Bad, hence the title of this episode that you're listening to right now. Dan, how did we find ourselves on Breaking Bad?
The obvious connection is Ozymandias. That's the name of one of the great episodes of Breaking Bad, and it is, of course, one of the main characters in Watchmen itself. But speaking of the great character in Watchmen, Breaking Bad is also about like this brilliant, super intelligent man and kind of the hubris of believing he could control everything and sort everything out just by the sheer power of his mind. So that's kind of a connection as well. And both stories, like Breaking Bad and Watchmen, kind of, how would you describe deconstruct the kind of hero myth. So Alan Moore was famously, he just wanted to break down the entire genre of superheroes. And Vince Gilligan came out right at the beginning and said, look, this is the story of exploring the transformation of Mr. Chips into Scarface. So it's all about these kind of breaking down of ostensible heroes. And finally, I think both of them explore kind of the question of, can the ends justify the means? Can you, drop a redacted upon redacted if it saves the world? Or, can you cook meth if it gives you enough money to help your family through looming death from cancer? Like there are, do the ends justify the means? So they're all the kind of connections between the series, I think.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to digging into it because what are we, around late 2000s, 2013 when Breaking Bad airs, the anti-hero is alive and well, and Walter White becomes one of the great poster boys for misunderstood villains, misunderstood in a way that I think people still argue to this day that he's
Yeah.
who was the true bad guy. And I assure you, it's Walter White.
Yes, it
That's
definitely is. Well, we did discuss in the Watchmen one the kind of the certain fan base that kind of enjoys Snyder-tastic stuff and
yes.
how they may misinterpret actions of people as being more heroic than they possibly are. And I feel that definitely applies to a similar, possibly vastly overlapping Venn diagram of Breaking Bad fans who also see Walter as the hero.
So I'm looking forward to breaking that down, and I guess in order to do that, we do need to know when the peak was. I mean, that's just fun to think about. When did that show truly peak? And do you before? Because I don't know the answer, Dan. What did you have an idea or a gut feel? I had a feeling myself as to when I believe the show really peaked, or the best 3-episode run.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it is like there's a couple of different ways I was thinking about this, and like it is very hard to go past the Walter White Gus Fring battle of wits. Like that's
Oh yeah.
that for me, like the whole show's appeal for me was seeing Walt use his genius to escape from all kinds of problems. And obviously in real life he had a team of writers who spent ages brainstorming solutions to all the problems. But like within the conceit of the show, he's this genius guy who gets himself into all kinds of messes and then comes up with a solution. And kind of the great thing about Gus Fring as an antagonist was that Gus was just as smart, maybe even smarter. And so that was kind of a fascinating area. And I don't think
Are you referencing the end of season 4?
I'm kind of referencing the whole kind of like just the entire time that those two were at one another with, Gus trying to get a replacement Walter and Walter manipulating things so that he was truly indispensable, and the two of them just trying to jostle for position.
Yeah. So this is my best 3 episodes in a row that I think the very end of season 4. Episode 11 is Crawl Space. We can all picture Walter White with the money in the crawl space.
We should say spoilers for Breaking Bad. Don't go any further if you don't want to know what's going on here.
What are you doing? So you go from Crawl Space to End Times, which is when Walter is sitting in the backyard. He spins the gun around and it lands on the Lily of the Valley plant. Little did we know what that meant at the time. And then episode 13, the finale of season 4, is Face Off.
Yes.
Which is the revelation that Walt had poisoned Brock to bring sort of Jesse back in. But then you've also got Hector Salamanca's incredible revenge on Gus Fring and the side of that. So that's a personal. That's where I would sort of plant my flag.
Yeah,
but I
knew that was your favorite. So I was thinking like that is that's pretty much a similar kind of area to what I was talking about. And I was thinking like the Nazis come in season 5, and they're not as much of an intellectual threat in the final season.
No.
But the Nazis aren't really the antagonists for Walt in the final season. The real threats are kind of the friends he's made along the way, your Hanks and your Jessies. They're the actual antagonists, and I think that's kind of that's why the show works so well, because everything just builds on one another. So whatever threat he's got rid of, he's created new threats in the process, and so it's so as good as the Gus Fring stuff is. Like this final season is kind of built on top of that, and everything's kind of comes crumbling down on him. And I remember watching the final season in real time, and I could not believe what I was watching each week. It was nerve-wracking. So the Gus stuff was kind of intellectually thrilling, and the final season may not be on that same level intellectually, but the emotional intensity was just like I was so frantic by the end of each episode of this final season. So I think it's probably heading towards this final season, so somewhere in this last run.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, would you put us out of our misery and turn the crank and let us know what statistically the best 3-episode run of Breaking Bad would be? When from?
Well, as we crank the machine into gear, you can probably tell that I had the spoilers before I gave my answer just there, because the answer is, of course, the final 3 episodes. It's episodes 14, 15, and 16, literally the end of the show. Ozymandias, Granite State, and Felina.
Yeah, which is I mean, Ozymandias, it's Lost keeps rearing its head in this show podcast, doesn't it, Dan? The way it just everything is connected. It just
Yep.
keeps happening. But that it's and there's a reason. I think there's a very good reason as to why those 3 episodes statistically also produce the best 3-episode run. We will get to that in detail. But before we do, Dan, any homework from the last time we caught up?
Well, you'll be impressed to hear, I hope, that I have finally done my homework. I'm not
Yes.
always good at doing my homework. The dog often eats my homework, but not this time because I did track down a copy of Black Dynamite and I watched it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, please to bring it. Now, I should just a quick reminder. I recommended Black Dynamite because of there are many portrayals of Tricky Dick, Richard Nixon in film history, but I said that the number one portrayal is in Black Dynamite, and I didn't want to spoil it any further.
Yes, well,
Yeah, what do you think?
I did spend the entire movie waiting for Richard Nixon to show up, so
Yes.
you slightly spoiled the fact that he was part of it was was a minor spoiler. I don't know how you could have got around that, but and I do agree. He's definitely worth the wait in the movie. It's a fine portrayal of Richard Nixon. Probably almost certainly better than anything in Watchmen. It's far more entertaining.
If you can't track down the movie, you can find the scene with Richard Nixon on YouTube if you just search Black Dynamite. But it is it's a fun throwback comedy that they don't make many of that sort of Naked Gun style type movie anymore, and that's what Black Dynamite is. I was hoping, Dan, as someone again, we don't know each other that well, but I did sort of think to myself, I think Dan will get a kick out of this old style comedy.
Yeah.
So enjoy it.
I did enjoy it. It took me a while to work out the vibe of it to get like a feel for the kind of comic sensibilities of it. I think it would have, and this is going to sound like a criticism. It's not really meant to be, but I think if it had been broken down into 5-minute stretches and inserted into like a sketch TV show every week. So every week on Saturday Night Live, we're crossing to the latest installment of Black Dynamite. I think it would have worked even better. I just, the sustained impact of it was a bit much for me after a while, but I could easily see how if you're watching Saturday Night Live or whatever sketch comedy show you're watching, and this pops up for 5 minutes, you would go, this is great, and I'm really looking forward to next week's. It was just as an entire movie, it was like a little bit too bit too much, I think.
Yeah. Definitely one for the maybe enjoy a few libations, put Black Dynamite on, and watch it for the 10th time, and then you start laughing at those things that you hadn't noticed.
I could definitely see that. Like it is it's very clever. It's very well done. I enjoyed it.
Recommendation from Dan. Now let's kick into Breaking Bad. That's what we're here to talk about. And given the 3 best episodes, start with Ozymandias. That's what we'll cover in this episode, and then we'll do another. We'll come back again. We'll talk about Granite State, and then we'll come back again for the last time to talk about Felina. But yeah, we're here to talk about Ozymandias. Before we do, we did say spoiler warning for Breaking Bad, but it probably would help to put us in that time and place of season 5, episode 14. Dan, can you kind of bring us up to speed?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best with just a very quick update on everything that's happened until this particular episode. So here we go. Walter White, a chemistry teacher who learns he has cancer, offers one of his former students, Jesse Pinkman, the opportunity to earn extra credit by cooking methamphetamine with him in an RV. As always, this very simple and normal attempt to bypass the US's broken medical system soon escalates into an ever-growing empire of drug-based power, with Walt's meth judged by local narcotics enthusiasts to be top-tier blue shit. Does Walt let his meth-making prowess go to his head? You bet he does, as he systematically ruins the life of everyone around him. Jesse, his wife, his brother-in-law, his son, an air traffic controller he meets in a bar, his fried chicken provider. Walt soon secures unimaginable wealth, but when Hank, the previously mentioned brother-in-law, makes a startling toilet-based discovery of how Walt's been filling his days, everything starts to topple down. So there you go.
That's put me right in the play, right in the end game of Breaking Bad. Now, Dan, were you watching? When did you get on board Breaking Bad? Were you there from the beginning? I know you were a Foxtel guy.
Yeah, I don't think I was. I shouldn't say I don't think. I definitely wasn't there from the beginning. I started hearing the buzz about it. I was just trying to remember whether I started hearing the buzz just before season 4 or just before season 5. And I can't honestly remember whether I watched season 4 live or not. I definitely know I watched like the 2 split halves of season 5 absolutely live and just like counting down the seconds till the next episode dropped. But I honestly can't remember whether I did that with season 4 or not, or whether I just binged them all. But as soon as I heard about it, I thought, oh, I'll give this a go. And then I started watching, and it just grew on me. Like every episode just builds and builds and builds. And I just kind of blitzed through the entire, whatever I had to get up to, the end of season 3 or 4 in like, I don't know, a weekend. Like I charged through it. So yeah. What about you?
The term binge may or may not have been around in, what do we say, 2009, 2008, 2009. And there was a very lazy Sunday, I think, raining outside, maybe it'd been out a little bit too late the night before. And on Foxtel, they were doing, when a season or a show would end, they would then just run the whole series back to back to back in a single day. So I caught the end of the first episode of season 1, and I didn't get off the couch until all 9 episodes had played out in real time.
So you were there from the beginning.
I was there from so obviously not from when the show started airing, week to week to week, but I caught it in the beginning, and I was telling people, you got to see that. Like I was instantly hooked. This like it's
as
silly
if you were
and
hooked
fun.
On Walter's meth. Like,
yeah, the tone of the show in that first season is, it's still it is almost comic book like. It's quite colorful. The location is interesting, and I'll never forget when Walt puts the dinner plate back together, and they've got the fellow tied up downstairs, and I was like, wow, that's clever. I don't think I've seen anything too clever in a TV show in a little while, and I was like, that's incredible, and so I was hooked, and then kept up with it ever since. I won't talk about the finale. We'll talk about that in what we were doing when we get to that episode. So yeah, and obviously for this episode, Ozymandias was watching Day and Date. So
I think everybody by this stage was pretty much watching Day and Date. Like I felt like everybody was watching. I remember not this episode. It must have been 509. The first one back after the first one of the second half of the series, where I think Walt confronts Hank in the garage and says, "Tread lightly." I made a reference to "Tread lightly" while I was tweeting about cricket, because there was the Ashes was on in England. And I made a reference to that. Everybody got it. Like just saying "tread lightly." Everyone knew what I was talking about, and I was just like, "Wow, this is very big."
All right, let's get into it. It is the episode is called Ozymandias. It's season 5, episode 14, and as IMDb describes it, Walter faces the devastating consequences of his actions as his world unravels. Meanwhile, Jesse's fate takes a dark turn, and the fallout threatens everyone he cares about. This episode was written by Moira Wally Beckett. Now, before I go any further, would you like a really short, sharp rabbit hole about Moira Wally Beckett if you're unfamiliar with her work?
Always like a short rabbit hole about Moira Wally Beckett.
Moira Wally Beckett, she's credited as writing this episode and 9 others of Breaking Bad. But before that, she had this robust acting career.
Okay.
So in the 80s and 90s, she was essentially that one episode character that would turn up on ER or NYPD Blue or Chicago Hope or whatever, and then disappear. So she was the guest of the week.
Yep.
80s and 90s. She's Diagnosis Murder, Dragnet, Jake and the Fat Man, 21 Jump Street.
Fat Man.
Yes. And finally, And you said something earlier when you talked about, Walt's battles with Gus Fring and how he was going to clever his way out of this situation. Season 3, episode 19 of MacGyver. There is one Moira Wally Beckett. She is she's the love interest of one MacGyver, and I couldn't help myself. I had to. I was like, I wonder if I could find out the scene. What's the
he
thing
MacGyvering with?
Yeah, what's MacGyvering in this episode? It's called The Endangered. I'll give you a little description because the description is perfect. MacGyver visits an animal preserve to reunite with an old girlfriend who is a park ranger there. Their reunion is complicated by a battle they have with poachers of endangered animals on the preserve. It's always poachers. In the
Bloody
80s,
poachers.
those poachers. And so if you search that episode on YouTube, you get the scene. They're being chased by the poachers. MacGyver quickly squats down and he puts together a little poison dart and he rigs it up with around a little tripwire. So when the poachers come along, one of them gets a dart to the leg, and so they are able to escape.
Let that be a lesson to you, poachers.
Yes, via a poison dart. But Moira is in that episode. Hair very big, very 80s, and a lot of fun. But she obviously, after an incredible resume acting, would go on writing predominantly Breaking Bad, and I think a little bit of Better Call Saul.
Yep.
The director of this episode, what an awesome opportunity to talk about Ryan Johnson.
Yes.
He of Looper fame, The Last Jedi, the good Star Wars.
Yes.
The Knives Out series, Poker Face, which I've enjoyed a bit of. And he directed one episode of a TV show that I loved dearly called Terriers. I won't go down that rabbit hole yet, but if to any Terriers fans out there. And so Moira and Ryan also worked on Fly, which was the season 3 episode 10.
A more controversial episode.
Yes, that's right. And
I love Fly, but anyway.
Oh, I love that episode as well. And there's a really fun connection to this episode as well, which we'll get to. So this Ozymandias aired on September 15th, 2013 in the US, September 16th, 2013 in Australia. Now, we weren't quite doing
simultaneous.
Simultaneous. This was a weird crossover period where we were getting it at the same time, but it was, I guess, they still figured that we would still like to watch the TV at night time, and so they'd hold off from playing it until sort of 8:30, 9:30 that night.
Yeah. So and it's not a full day either, because September 16th, of course, is for us is September 15th in the US. So it's only a few hours later.
Yeah, a few hours. So not that we were we live tweeting our favorite TV shows by that point?
I probably would have if it was being broadcast live, but no, I wasn't.
Yeah, stay off for spoilers. Dan, before we go any further, I'm going to need to hear one of your trademark episode recaps. Could you please give us one?
Here we go. The episode opens with a flashback to the series pilot for curious viewers who've arrived late. But episode director Ryan Johnson soon yadas over the intervening episodes to pick up from where we left off last time, with Hank and Gomi being shot at by Uncle Jack and his neo-Nazi funtime band. Uncle Jack soon shoots Hank, despite Walt's desperate pleading, then steals the $80 million that Walt has carefully stored in buried oil barrels because NFTs haven't yet been invented. Walt takes the one barrel of millions he has left and tries to convince the family to leave town with him before things get properly problematic, but only baby Holly shows any interest, and even then, only because she's heard she might get to ride in a fire engine.
Thank you, Dan. That's fantastic. Now, this episode, Ozymandias, has an IMDb rating of 10. Yeah. It's got a score of a perfect 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Vince Gilligan also thought that this was the best episode of Breaking Bad. So 10 out of 10. Dan, question for you. How many other TV shows in the history of time also have a 10 out of 10 on IMDb, a perfect 10?
I can't be many, right? Like how many other shows are in the same ballpark? Like there might be I don't even know what they'd be, but it'd be like a Game of Thrones. There'd probably one Game of Thrones or a Succession or a something. I don't know. There'll be 3 or 4 maybe. Let's say 5. Let's say a handful.
I
5.
was surprised about this when I looked this up because I thought, oh yeah, there must, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. The IMDb rating system is, user generated. And guess what? It's the only one.
Really?
This is the only television episode that has a perfect 10 score on IMDb. There are a handful of 9.9s.
Yes.
If you'd like to know some of the 9.9s.
Right.
You've
Yep. Hit me.
You've got an episode of BoJack Horseman,
Yep.
Attack on Titan. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes of that. Game of Thrones. You've got a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones. Mr. Robot, a couple of episodes there. Succession, Better Call Saul, a couple of ones there. 6 Feet Under.
Oh,
And finally, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Hmm.
There's an episode there that's got a 9.9. Now, Dan, another question for you. What happens when there's only one episode of television ever that has a perfect 10 rating on IMDb?
It gets review bombed.
You get you get a whole bunch of people coming along to go, well, hang on, what's this about? Oh, I better watch it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you my thoughts. So would you like a sample? Because
hit me.
the review, there are 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, but on average, it's still hitting a 10.
On average, it rounds up from 9.97 or whatever to 10.
To 10, that's right. So I've gone through, like, I'll give you an example. Here we go. 1 out of 10. This is from a user called CDPCBJKK.
Yeah, I'm aware of their work.
Yes, and they've only ever written 1 review.
Yeah.
And it's this one here. 1 out of 10, painfully mid. Probably one of the most mediocre shows / episodes I've ever seen. Everyone's just blinded by nostalgia, in my opinion. It really has little to no good scenes that actually hit you. Pause for effect.
That's what everyone says about it. So,
Yes.
nothing happens in this episode.
No, it's all like they just wanted to make a show centered around allowing people to make terrible memes and glaze the show because it was literally the only halfway decent thing on at the time.
Yeah.
So that's the review. But I did find one other 1-star review that I thought was worth sharing. Dan, if you'd like to hear from Jack F321.
Yeah, Jack F321, a renowned critic.
So this is from Jack F321. He's given it a 1-star rating. Title of the review is Overrated. I watched this episode expecting it to be a true 10 out of 10 worthy episode. I left completely disappointed and confused as to why so many people like this episode. Hank is a 2D garbage character, and it's impossible for me to feel bad for him. He brought everything on himself. Everything is capitalized. Bryan Cranston's acting is subpar, and while being definitely the best acting in this episode, he still plays Walt like he's looking forward to the end of the show, not acting well. So he's got 47 thumbs up, 530 thumbs down. Now, I wanted you to get the full Jack F experience, because if this episode is getting a 1 out of 10, what's getting a 10 out of 10?
Oh, I dread to think. Well, what is Jack F into? I'm not sure.
Let's. Are you ready to be depressed? So the episode of this thing on IMDb that is rated is called "My Mum is Kinda Homeless" (Reunion) plus 100K Fortnite tournament drop ticks. So what he's doing here is he's given a 10-star review to a stream from the streamer s03e01. Right. So if any of those words make any sense to you, Dan?
Not a lot of them.
No. So
Do you think Jack F is affiliated with that streaming service?
I'm not sure, but s03e01 is a very popular streamer that is quite popular with the kids. Okay. So he's written a review here, and he's of this particular stream. He says, "Absolute cinema. Honestly, I wasn't ready for how emotional this stream was. Speed going through all that with his mum made me laugh, cry, and just feel so many things at once. Yeah. It felt super real, like nothing was staged. The energy was all over the place, but in a good way. Chaotic, but also really human. Some moments had me dying laughing. Other moments hit me in the gut. I don't think I've seen anything like it. Just watch it. 10 out of 10.
See, I think he's just put the wrong reviews on the wrong things. I think you could swap those, and it's probably perfect.
I know, like the gut punch and the emotion, and it's fascinating how you could swap the. So that's the state of the world. That's where we are. That's where we're at. Dan, I know we normally do the reviews later, and I know we've barely gotten through the description of the episode, but is it worth giving some of the more positive reviews to kind of balance this out?
Yeah. Give me a couple.
Yeah, so you've got praise. So Emily St. James from the LA Times says this episode described the episode as rich, highlighting Skylar's transformation from victim to accomplice as emotionally satisfying. Maureen Ryan from the Huffington Post commended its visceral portrayal of the consequences of Walt's actions. Said the episode was perfectly realized, but made her feel sick and made her cry. Dustin Rowles from Uprocks called Johnson the best working television director based on this episode. It was also TV Guide named it the best television episode of the 21st century. Rolling Stone ranked it the greatest television episode of all time. And you'll be familiar with The Ringer, Dan.
Yes. Yeah,
They had quite a popular list, the 100 greatest episodes of TV that it featured in that top 10. I only wanted to give you this one just briefly because number 11 in the Ringer countdown was This Extraordinary Being from Watchmen.
There you go. Yep.
It's a fascinating list. Number 10 is The Final Four from the very first season of Survivor. Great pull. You've got The Middle Ground from The Wire, Connor's Wedding from Succession.
Yep.
Number 7 is Chappelle's Show, episode 2.4. I think that's the Rick James episode. Number 6 is Ozymandias. So you've got 5 better episodes here. Number 5, Pine Barrens from The Sopranos.
Yep.
Who Goes There from True Detective. It's the 4th episode. The Rains of Castamere, otherwise known as The Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. Number 2, The Suitcase from Mad Men. That's the Don and Peggy bottle episode. And number 1, you know what number one is, Dan, on this list? It's The Constant from Lost.
Of course it is.
Season 4, episode 5.
Oh, the list sounded so good up till then. Oh.
Yeah. It just, because we've got an episode here that has like a perfect 10, we're never going to get to do this again. So very quickly, this episode does win the Emmy, for that year. Outstanding writing for a drama series in 2014. It beat out True Detective, an episode of House of Cards, Game of Thrones, an episode called The Children. That was the season 4 finale, and another episode of Breaking Bad, Felina, which is of course the finale. So Moira has beaten out Vince Gilligan, who's credited as writing the finale. Yeah. Now this episode also won my favorite, my favorite award ceremony, the Golden Derbies. As we know, the Golden Derbies are handed out at a racetrack right before the Oscar odds are determined. It sets the tone for Oscar season. So because this was the winner in 2014, it also qualified for the Golden Derby's Best Drama Episode of the Decade.
Yep.
Would you like to hear some of the best drama episodes of the decade, of the teens? You've got Game of Thrones, Battle of the Bastards, The Rains of Castamere, and Winds of Winter. So three Game of Thrones episodes nominated. The Americans, there's an episode called Start. Handmaid's Tale, June, which I think is one of the early ones. Mad Men, Person to Person, which was the very final episode. Breaking Bad, Felina was also part of that best of. And The Leftovers, The Book of Nora, and International Assassin, both nominated. But of course, it's Ozymandias that took home the Golden Derby that night for Best of the Decade.
Very good.
So yeah, that sort of puts us in a nice place to talk about the episode. Very quickly, there were 6.4 million viewers in the US. Would you like to take a stab at the Australian audience, Dan?
Oh, let's go 640,000.
That's way too generous. So
320,000.
So fascinating. Breaking Bad airs at 10:30 at night. So while it's aired probably earlier in the morning US time, we had to wait until 10:30. 27,000 viewers. And then on the +2 signal, another 7,000 people tune in. But then on the Wednesday, so that was obviously a Monday. On a Wednesday, it gets another 8,000 viewers. So people are still in this kind of habitual TV viewing before we're recording things as they
just streaming them whenever you want.
Yeah. Over on Channel 7, 650,000 people are watching Mr. Selfridge.
Mr. what?
Mr. Selfridge. This
Never,
was
never heard of Mr. Selfridge.
this was they did 3 seasons. This is Jeremy Piven. This was the British drama series about the making of Selfridges, the
Oh, okay.
department store.
Right. Okay.
We're still watching Jeremy Piven do things in 2013. Over on Channel 9, we've got a repeat of Two and a Half Men, which gets roughly 250,000 people doing that. Over on 10, there's 100,000 people watching the late night news. Over on SBS, it's the world news, the more important news. Only 37,000 people. So Breaking Bad almost caught the world news. Yes. But over on Gem, you mentioned it earlier, Dan. It's now September. The Australians have been over in England for an Ashes tour, and now it's time for a series of one-day games.
Yes.
It's game 5. There's 92,000 people. I think the series was up for grabs in this 5th game.
Could well have been. I don't remember ODI bilateral series.
No, it's Australia get over the line here. They made 298. England failed to chase. They only made 249. Shane Watson, 143.
Watto, the king.
Man of the match. Ben Stokes took 5 for.
Mm.
And it made me sad. Phil Hughes actually played in this game.
Did he?
Yeah, opened and only made 2 with the bat. But I think that clinched the series for the Aussies. So that's what was happening in Australia when we were getting geared up for the run home for Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Now, Dan, I think I already know the answer to this, right? But there were podcasts for TV shows back then, right? Like had that started?
Yes, it definitely had, and I was listening to them all the time. So I went back and listened today to the official Breaking Bad podcast, much as I used to do with the official Lost podcast back in the day. Listening to the official Breaking Bad podcast. Do you want to know some information about this particular episode?
Yeah, I'd love to. Any other little notes? I mean, this is the best episode they ever made. I'd love to. Yeah, anything fun.
So on this particular episode, you had the host, which is Kelly Dixon. She was one of the editors on the show.
Yep.
And the guests were Vince Gilligan, Moira Wally Beckett, and Ryan Johnson. So
wow,
pretty handy group to have in there.
Yeah.
So just a couple of random things. Vince does mention that it's his favorite episode, and he also says there's no point watching the last 2 because it's all downhill from here.
Well, statistically, that's not true. This is.
Yes. He also mentioned some of the crazy ideas he had over the course of the series, and he kind of teases a story that he says, I won't tell this until the final podcast. He says that I had an idea for Walt Jr. in the basement with a gun.
Oh,
and I don't know whether he remembers to tell this story in the final podcast episode or not. So I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks' time.
Good teaser.
We also had Ryan Johnson. He's talking about how he's been very busy working on a script, and I tried to work it out. I reckon it's almost certainly The Last Jedi. He's busily writing at this particular time.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yes.
A good script too.
Yep. They discussed a couple of other things that I thought were interesting. They constantly refer to the scene where Walt is rolling the barrel. That's always known as the dung beetle sequence. Right. They keep referring to it as that. There's a brief mention, and I'm not sure how joking it was or whether this was known at the time, but they do briefly mention, potentially jokingly, the idea of a Saul Goodman spin-off.
Well, okay.
And they also mentioned that the timing of killing Hank worked out okay because Dean Norris had another show lined up ready to go, and I did some scouting around, and I'm pretty sure this was Under the Dome. Did you watch Under the Dome?
I did not, but that's another Stephen King vehicle brought to life adaptation. But I love that when a bit character he's obviously part of the main cast, but supporting character, big show wraps up, and then they get a leading role somewhere, and
it's Under the Dome.
Yeah, it's Under the Dome. It doesn't quite work out.
Yeah. Just a few more. They talked about how usually, like this was Ryan Johnson in particular, saying how he likes to give actors an easy scene to ease into the shooting. There weren't any easy scenes in this. No. Basically just said poor old Anna Gunn just had to start the day having a fight with Walter White, chasing the car down the street. You mentioned that like when she falls to her knees, she had knee pads on to help her there. Also, the actor playing Holly did say "mama" spontaneously in the thing, and Ryan Johnson jokes that was because they were holding a knife to the mother's throat just off screen. The fireman who finds Holly was Ryan Johnson, buddy from Looper. So he just brought in a mate of his.
Yep.
And the final piece of information, they set up the chessboard at the fire station to be specifically so that the king was one move away from checkmate. So very symbolic. And then when they got there to shoot it, they discovered that it had all been messed up somehow. Someone had been mucking
around with it.
So he had to stop and ring up, phone a friend to get it fixed and say, how was I supposed to set up this chess set again? So there you go. So that's from the podcast.
An incredible detail that no one would ever have noticed. This episode has got one of my favorite things in it our dramatic TV these days, the episode starts and then you get the actors, they're legally required now by SAG to show who's going to be in the episode. And sometimes it can ruin surprises and cameos and things like that, because my brain can't ignore it. But it's one of my favorite things when an actor has made their appearance, died, been ended officially, and then the name comes up after the fact. So Paul Gomi is being dragged away. Hank is no more, and then you get the names coming up after the fact, and it always makes me smile. They
did discuss that as well. I didn't bring it up the first time around, but they had to get special approval from the Directors Guild to put the credits on that late. So they didn't show them at all. Like usually they'd show them in that first act. But they said, no, it would disrupt the kind of intensity of it all. Can we move it to the second act? And they got special permission to do that.
Yes, all during the barrel rolling, right?
Yes.
Is there any major stuff that you want to talk about here? I've got a few notes. Anything that you really wanted to kind of dig into?
I'm kind of just amazed that just how jam-packed it is with, I tracked down, I reckon there's 5 moments in this that would sustain 3 or 4 episodes in a normal TV show. Yeah. And they've just chucked all 5 into this one episode. It is just unrelenting, kind of huge moments. So you've got Hank's death, which ordinarily would just be, the biggest thing in an episode. You've got Walt telling Jesse that he watched Jane die. Yep. Which would be enormous.
Which we should say a callback to The Fly.
Yes, when he almost tells her.
He almost, but doesn't, and then a very different reason for saying it this time around. But we've got the same writing and directing duo revisiting that, and Walt, finally confessing.
Yep. You've also got the family confrontation with kind of the knife fight, which is... And then kind of Walt Jr. just charging in to help his mum. That's still one of my favorite moments when Walt coming to save the day. Mm-hmm. You got Walt taking Holly, just stealing the baby and running off. And then you've got this incredible phone call at the end where Walt is basically, exonerating Skylar over the phone, and you could see her and she's piecing it together in real time, working out what he's doing. And you're hearing his words, which are so vicious, and you're cutting to his face, and he's devastated that he has to say it, but he knows he has to say it. And it's just all 5 of those are in one 44-minute episode. It's just insane. It is such a big episode. No wonder it's 10 out of 10.
It's the fall. It's so why I love season 4, season 3 is that you've still got this. You can see Walter White, you can see Heisenberg, you sort of, it's the fight between the two, or he's slowly becoming one. And this is where, when his entire family is stripped away from him, from Hank to Skylar, his son, dumping Holly at a fire station. By the time it's all done with, that's it. It's just Heisenberg. Yep. And even when the Nazis are going, all right, here's your 11 million. I'm going to take the rest. He's been through his big emotional moment with Hank, and then it's back to it's just full one mask off and completely. And maybe we can get into this when we get to the next episode, or even Felina. That this idea of this is who Walter always was. Yeah, and this. He had to go through all of this and became who he really was, the arrogance, the ego, the hubris. Yeah. But it's an incredible, the episode is called Ozymandias. The story of, was the King of Kings, and he looks around and he's finally made it, but the whole world has turned to dust. Yeah. It's exactly what happens all of this stuff happens in this one episode to kind
Yeah.
of make that transformation.
It's just
complete.
enormous. Yeah. And there's one kind of understated moment which I'd completely forgotten about till I watched this episode last night. And it's kind of brilliant as well in its own way. I love watching Marie confront Skylar, and she's very confident that she and Hank have won, and she's almost lording it over Skylar. It's just slightly obnoxious the way she's treating her. She knows she's got the power now, and it's just kind of this other example of everybody on this show having kind of these shades of grey. Like she's not quite enjoying the moment of triumph, but there's just enough satisfaction there that it's kind of just slightly icky, and it's just even better because there's a great dramatic irony looming over the scene. Neither of them know this, but Hank hasn't won at all, and he's dead. So, and it's so good. It's like
it's their sister relationship, to in a nutshell, that they've always sort of fought with on the show. And even Hank, like he does get I guess a noble death, if you can call it that, in that he stands by his ideals and everything he believes in, and tells the Nazis to go fuck themselves. And he has that one moment where he is smarter than Walt, when he says, this guy, I thought you were smart. This guy made up his mind 10 minutes ago. He's already come to terms with it.
Ozymandias style. Should have been like 35 minutes ago.
But
that's the proper callback, Vince Gilligan. So say he made his mind up 35 minutes ago. Let's do it properly.
Even Hank, it doesn't count, but it's a couple episodes earlier. Even when like I think Jesse is confessing to them, and he's giving Walter, he's still an asshole. Yeah. Like Hank he's a dick in the entire.
It's so brilliant. Such great characterization.
Yes, but he does get that kind of, at least that moment where he's like, no, I did get you, Walt, and I'm sort of, I don't know, smarter than you in this aspect. However, one guy's alive, the other one is not. And Hank would go on. Well, next week we'll talk about Walt's next steps.
Yes.
Was it now? The only other thing I wanted to touch on here, because you did mention it before, is that phone call, and only because we did mention it earlier. There are still some people that I hear say to this day, "Oh, the real villain of Breaking Bad is Skylar," and I mean, if you. That's a big red flag for me. If you can watch that entire series and think that that the nagging wife is she's the true villain of the piece, because this entire show is about toxic relationships, and one particularly brutal toxic relationship between Walter and Jesse. But that phone call has been misunderstood by so many people, because I don't
understand how you can misunderstand it.
Yeah, they find it cathartic that here he's finally telling her off, and you're like, it's not an apology, but like he has a moment with Holly, realizes that he's taken her away from her mother, says goodbye, and then essentially gives her an alibi. Yeah, like, you never believed me.
It was all me. It was all me.
That's right.
I was the only one who could do it.
You know nothing of my master plan. I built this all on my own. Yeah. So it was all to help exonerate. Her life would never be the same again, but at least they were able to kind of untether themselves.
Yes.
And she could.
It's such an incredible scene.
Yeah, because you see it in her face as well. Anna Gunn is amazing because she's showing she understands what's going on. She needs to keep up the one final ruse. While the police are there, it's incredible. Yeah, they're just like what a cast and what a duo. They ended up being. Well, Dan, I had a blast coming back to late game Breaking Bad.
Yes.
I suppose one last question would be, if this is a 10, do you think there's anything else there that should join it? Anything from Lost, there's got to be, right? It's hard.
But it is hard. Like this is an incredible episode. I mean, you know my feelings on Through the Looking Glass from Lost.
Yeah, I would have no qualms if that
Yeah.
10 out of 10. We have to show Lost some love.
Yes.
On
But
this
yeah,
podcast.
no, I mean, this is incredible. I'm sure there are other shows that are slipping my mind, but this is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that set us up perfectly for next time we come back with season 5, episode 15. So if you want to give that a rewatch before you tune in again, well, we can't wait to dig into that one in the next episode.
Yep. Cue the outro. Thank you for listening to Peak Streaks. If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. If you disagree with the data or reckon there was a better 3-episode run, or just want to share your memories of Breaking Bad, send us a note via email, peakstreakspodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on the socials at Twitter or Blue Sky @peakstreaks. Are you the one who knocks? Come and say hello.